Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the morning edition of Verdict 2014. I'm Frank Pereira. Let's begin with the headlines. Massive turnout continues in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir assembly polls. Around 74% record turnout yet again in Jammu and Kashmir. Jharkhand record 64%. It's the last day to file nominations for the fifth phase of polls on December 20th. 36 assembly seats at stake in the last phase. Finance Minister Arunjaitley will launch BJPs campaign in Jammu and Kashmir for the remaining phases today. Will meet state BJP leaders to discuss poll preparedness. And a special focus on what Kashmiri pundits feel about the ongoing assembly polls. Skeptic pundits term vows by parties to rehabilitate them as a mere poll gimmick. Both Jammu and Kashmir and Jharkhand saw record voter turnouts in the second phase of polling yesterday in the five-stage assembly elections. Jammu and Kashmir recorded 74% polling, while over 64% of eligible voters turned out to cast their vote in Jharkhand. Here's more.
Overall average percentage of the entire phase 2 is 71%, which compares with 68.79% in the general elections of 2008.
Another strong reply from Jammu and Kashmir, another rejection of anti-democracy elements days after the state had polled a record 70% in the first phase. Voting in this phase faced a backdrop of recent terrorist violence in the run-up and warnings from trouble elements. After a slow start, turnout figures made up later. Riyasi recorded the highest 80% polling, followed by 76% in Udhampur. 75% of eligible voters turned out to vote in Poonch. Some of the most sensitive areas, Kupwara, Kulgam, Gulabgarh, Gul Arnas and others, recorded 60% plus turnout, substantial leaps over the last assembly elections.
सर्दी में इस वक्त में आया है कि हमें बहुत परेशानियां है, सैलाब भी आया है, यहाँ बेरोजगारी भी है, डेवलपमेंट की बातें भी है, इसलिए हमें पावर की कमी है, इसलिए हमें वोट डालना पड़ता है कि लोकल इंतजामिया, लोकल जो हमारे काम मसाइल है वो हल किया जाएगा.
In all the poll-bound 20 segments in Jharkhand, it was brisk polling from the start amid tight security and a large team of observers from the state and centre. In just 4 hours, over 32% of the electorate had cast their ballot. The count was 50% plus at 1 p.m, setting the stage for a turnout bigger than the 62% recorded in the first phase.
On average, till now, the turnout is known to be 64.99%. 64.99% in the entire state for the second phase for 20 assembly constituencies. And if you add first phase and second phase together, then the turnout is so far is 64.23%.
The highest number of tribal constituencies went to polls in this phase. 16 out of 20 segments are reserved for scheduled castes. Outcomes here will reflect tribal expectations. That's besides two key urban segments, Jamshedpur East and Jamshedpur West, the first truly urban centres going to polls in the ongoing elections. They'll reflect the trend for voting in Ranchi and Dhanbad. In the sustained high turnout, analysts point out signals of a desire for change.
बेरोजगारी बढ़ते ही जा रहा है, देखते हैं नक्सल प्रभावित एरिया है, कुछ नहीं करते हैं सरकार, जहाँ तक जब तब मार के चल जाते हैं. खूंटी तो ऐसे भी पॉपुलर हो चुका है, जब किसी को जो भी बिजनेस करते हैं वो लोग लेवी वसूलते हैं, ये सब सुधरेगा. इसीलिए सोच रहे हैं इस बार कुछ नई सरकार, इतने साल में मतलब 10 साल हो गया होगा, 8 बार तो हम लोग के चीफ मिनिस्टर बदल चुके हैं.
Both Jammu and Kashmir and Jharkhand now go to polls in the third phase of the five-stage elections on the 9th of December. December 23rd is the counting day for both states. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, today is the last day for filing nomination papers for the fifth and last phase of assembly elections in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir. Polling will be held in 16 constituencies in Jharkhand and 20 constituencies in Jammu and Kashmir in this phase on the 20th of December. Nominations for this phase began on the 26th of November after the notifications were issued. The last date for withdrawal of nomination papers is the 6th of December. The fate of bigwigs like Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren will be decided in this phase, which is the last phase of the five-staged assembly elections. Well, with 3 more phases of assembly elections remaining, parties will launch extensive campaign from today. Now, Finance Minister Arunjaitley will campaign for the BJP in Jammu and Kashmir. Jaitley will hold a rally in the state and later will meet state BJP leaders. He will discuss the party's preparations for the upcoming phases of polls in the state. Well, a key factor determining the BJP's performance in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly polls will be the Kashmiri Pundits. The party has promised rehabilitation of the community in the run-up to the polls. It has also promised quota for Kashmiri Pundits in the Assembly. Now, but representatives from the community remain sceptical. Here's more.
जम्मू कश्मीर के आखिरी आदमी तक डेवलपमेंट की रोशनी, विकास की रोशनी पहुंचे.
Their dwindling numbers in the valley is not a factor for the BJP, which is trying to make inroads in Jammu and Kashmir in these elections. In its vision document, the BJP promised to reserve 3 seats for Kashmiri Pundits in the 87-member assembly. But Kashmiri Pundits are sceptical. They see this as just another poll gimmick.
जब उनको इलेक्शन होता है तभी वोट मांगने आते हैं हमसे, तो इन्होंने वहाँ से जम्मू से उन्होंने रिहैबिलिटेशन के लिए कश्मीरी पंडित को बुलाया है कि रिहैबिलिटेशन का मेरे को मतलब नहीं समझ रहा, रिहैबिलिटेशन किस चीज़ की है इनकी, रिहैबिलिटेशन का मतलब मेरे को सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से किस चीज़ की रिहैबिलिटेशन.
BJP hopes to bag 5 assembly seats in Habakadal, Amirakadal, Sopore, Kanyar and Tral, which are Hindu majority areas. The party hopes that turnout of Muslim voters in these areas will remain low following election boycott call given by separatist leaders. The BJP is banking on the Kashmiri Pundits' vote to achieve its Mission 50+ target in the valley.
कि जम्मू कश्मीर के आखिरी आदमी तक डेवलपमेंट की रोशनी, विकास की रोशनी पहुंचे, उसके लिए जो भी हमें करना होगा हम ऑनेस्टी के साथ करेंगे. और आने वाले दिनों में हम आपको इस बात का यकीन दिलाते हैं कि जम्मू कश्मीर की तस्वीर और जम्मू कश्मीर में जो गुर्बत है, जो तमाम तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स है, उसको हल करने के लिए बीजेपी बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग एंड ऑनेस्ट एफर्ट करेगी.
सबसे बड़ी पैकेज माइग्रेंटों के बारे में हुई वो नेशनल काउंसिल उमर साहब के दौर में ही हुई, जिसमें 3000 इनके बच्चों को नौकरियां दी गई और जिसके लिए उनके ज़मीनों को कंपनसेट किया गया, मकानों को कंपनसेट किया गया, जो इंडस्ट्रियल यूनिट्स हैं उनमें इनको कंपनसेशन दिया गया.
Several governments in Jammu and Kashmir have promised rehabilitation of Kashmiri Pundits, but too little has been done to ensure its implementation. Pundits feel they have been reduced to an election issue.
बस वोट डालने के टाइम बस, बाकी कुछ नहीं है. उसके बाद कोई नहीं है. ये आएगा वोट ले जाएगा अपना, तो बस मामला खत्म. अगर उनके घर में जाएगा फिर या जहाँ रहते हैं इनका रेजिडेंस वहाँ जाएगा तो फिर उधर बोलेगा ये कौन है, कहाँ रहते हो, किधर रहते हो.
Over 1 lakh Kashmiri Pundits are living in exile in Jammu and other places since their exodus from the valley in the early 1990s. No government or relief package has yet convinced them to return to the valley. It remains to be seen how they react to the olive branch offered by the BJP in these elections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, a photo op with Prime Minister Narendra Modi proved to be a costly affair for 12 BJP candidates in Jharkhand. The Election Commission has now asked them to bear the cost of the Jharkhand Vijay rally, where they shared the stage with the Prime Minister to seek votes. Here's the story.
Tightening its noose on poll expenses, the Election Commission has taken action against 12 BJP candidates in Jharkhand. The poll panel has directed these candidates to bear the expenses of the party's Vijay rally held in Daltonganj on November 21. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had addressed the rally, which was also attended by these 12 candidates, a move that cost them dear. The expenditure cell of the poll panel has now asked them to collectively pay 30 lakh rupees, an amount estimated to have been spent at the Vijay rally.
जो कैंडिडेट का फोटो है तो निश्चित तौर पर वो कैंडिडेट के प्रचार के लिए किया जा रहा है, तो वैसी अवस्था में कैंडिडेट्स उसे अपने जो खर्च में शामिल करते हैं और उसका विवरण देते हैं.
However, these candidates remain unaffected by the Election Commission's decision. They say they are willing to pay any amount to get clicked with Prime Minister Modi. According to them, Modi has changed the course of current day politics in India.
मोदी जी से बड़ा ही 1.25 लाख नहीं है ना, तो इसलिए ये समझ लीजिए कि मोदी जी के लिए 1.25 लाख क्या, 1.25 करोड़ क्या, 1000 करोड़ क्या, सब कुर्बान है.
हमारे बड़े नेता माननीय नरेंद्र मोदी जी आए और उस सभा में सभी प्रत्याशी उपस्थित थे, तो एक हौसला अफजाई भी होता है और जो उनके समर्थक जुटते हैं रैली में, उन तक जो संदेश हम पहुंचाना चाहते हैं उसमें हम सफल हैं तो खर्चे की बात की हम चिंता नहीं करना है।
But whether these candidates are able to garner votes riding on the Modi wave remains to be seen when results are declared on 23rd of December. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it on the edition of Verdict 2014. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.